recorder going on.
Awesome.
What time is it now in Hawaii?
It is 10:37.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's get started then.
Oh, sounds good.
So let's jump into your fasting experience if you want to do that. Cool with that?
Sure.
All right. So are you recording as well? Did you get video as well, or just?
Yeah, I'm getting video. Yeah. So I'm going to get video and audio, and I'll send you both of what I have.
Excellent. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So when you fasted, it was 32 days, water fast, Costa Rica, Doug Graham.
Yeah.
Was it February 2013? Was that when it was?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2013. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And so
there's a lot of things to there's a lot of things to fasting that people kind of forget, like that I forgot until you're doing it. Like when you slip into ketosis, you don't mind if I just grab the ball and start running, right?
Yeah, keep it rolling.
Okay, cool. So basically so over a month of fasting, of just on water. So you're losing about a pound per day. And at the time, I don't know, I guess you go through certain detoxes, right? So like there is healing, there is autophagy, which is pre-programmed cell death. So there are a lot of benefits, and there's a lot of anti-aging. For example, the woman who was my roommate, she was older than me. She's like probably in her 50s. And by the end of her fast, she definitely looked younger. When she was refeeding, she was vibrant, But I think over a month was probably too much. But in terms of sort of what you're going through at the time, when you slip into ketosis, for women, it's typically after like 2 days. For men, it's typically 3 days, just because our metabolisms are a little bit different. But God, you start to lose the energy to do anything. So walking to because you've seen it, walking down the hallway, your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm not trying to scare people, but it just literally, you don't have the strength to do certain things. Like I brought 3 books, and I lost the energy to just like lay on my bed and read the books above me. And by the end, I think I was telling you last time, I didn't have enough energy to wash my own hair. So like, gradually over the course of the month, I was like, going in the shower, and every time you get up, you kind of get lightheaded. So you'd have to like plan, like, okay, I have to pee again because I'm drinking water constantly. And then you like go to the edge of the bed, and then, okay, I got to stand up. And then you stand up, and it's like you're lightheaded for a little bit. And then you go to the bathroom, and you don't have a good reason to fast. It's just so intense. And which I forgot until I kind of dove back into my memory of it. You're so tired, but when you go to sleep, it's very hard to fall asleep because your body's like, hey,
where's the food?
Where's the food?
Where's the carbs?
So you're in bed, and like I remember like my legs would just start like wanting to move, and then my arms. God, my roommate must have been so pissed off at me. Like I was pissed off at me. It was just so annoying. Because you'd wait for the whole day to be gone. And what's kind of cool is like the passage of time, was you would really see the day go by, and because there's no distractions from food, you really get to see what's in the inside of your mind, and you get to deal with that. So it's either things are euphoric, like I saw a rainbow at one point, and I actually got up the energy to walk outside to meet with everybody who was having dinner, and like the smells of everything was so incredible, and like the flowers, and then the smells of the fruit on the wind just passing by my balcony. And I'd go out and open my balcony like 1,000 times a night to just look at the stars, and it's just so awesome. But so I saw this So I saw this rainbow, so I actually built up the energy to go and walk outside. And like this weak, like little thing being like, guys, the rainbow is so beautiful. And they're like looking over from dinner, like, what the hell is this like specter of a human being? So there's a lot that goes into it, and certain detoxes. Like, I haven't done a ton of drugs in my time as a human being, but there was one day that I swear, like I was getting like after effects or whatever you call it. Like I thought I was on LSD, in other words. Like like colors were like just merging, and I was like, I don't know if it's healthy. And there were no medical doctors where I was. There are places where there are, and I would recommend it, just because like intense things like that, you don't know if it's something bad, like if you're getting neural damage, or if it's, anyway, it was fine. It ended up fine. But just, I remember thinking like, I feel like I'm on drugs right now.
Mm, definitely. So it's
I mean, I could
32
go
days.
on, but
Yeah. No, we'll get into it. So how much, so just water, for those who don't understand water fast, no calories, no fruit, no juice, nothing, just water. How many liters a day of water do you think you're drinking?
maybe 3. I was really trying to drink a lot. And going
So
into
three
it,
quarters a day.
yeah, going into it, I had the advice, I was used to trying to drink like a quart of water in the morning or just as much as I
Mm.
could, and just to get the day started.
Yeah, quarts are good. Quarts are always good. And how about how many times a day were you peeing? Were you
Oh God.
pissing 10, 20?
Um, a
Did you
lot.
count it? Yeah.
Yeah,
What,
yeah, just a lot.
every hour or so, or?
Yeah, I'd say it started to get annoying actually because it was just this constant like drinking water and then and peeing it out. And we didn't have any salt or anything like that as well. So it was
Yeah.
no minerals, it was just like flushing out everything. So
Mm.
yeah.
And just how was the urine? Was it scanty, or was it like fire hydrant squirting
Uh,
out?
more fire hydrant. I mean, I'm pretty enthusiastic in general,
Yeah,
so that was no exception.
that's good. That's good. That lowers your specific gravity in urine. And yeah, if you've got scanty urine in a water fast, that's not a good sign. That's not a good
Oh
sign
yeah,
at all.
yeah,
That's step one towards kidney damage. And that's how Robert Lockhart died from renal failure recently, unfortunately. Not
yeah,
enough water. Um,
yeah.
and so then, but how about your? I'd say the euphoria. I've done a few little fasts, nothing like you have done, but I've done a few little fasts, and that euphoria feeling you get after a day or two, I find as well. It's just generally the cortisol, your blood, your adrenals start releasing cortisol into your blood, and you get rid of adrenaline. There's euphoria, gets massive connection with nature, but it's just like
Sure.
sort of false high, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But it's just like your body's basically going towards death and making it
Mm,
quite pleasurable. And it's cortisol and adrenaline. It makes you feel amazing. And
sure.
you also get it in the marathon as well. Right before you run out of muscle glycogen, you'll get this like euphoria feeling where it's like an ecstasy. I've taken
Right.
ecstasy before. It's very, very
Right.
similar. And when you have an ecstasy, that's also cortisol and adrenaline being released. So that can create this false magical feeling where you do feel magic. You feel like a god. But then
Right.
people go, wow, this is the state. This is the Arnold error. This is the mucus diet healing. This is the
Hmm.
natural hygiene. This is purity. This is perfection. This is vitality.
Right.
But it's not. You can't do anything in that state, really. You're so weak,
Yeah.
and it's false energy. But it's a trap people can get into because, oh, I felt so good though. I never felt better than that moment
Hmm.
because you feel so amazing, didn't you, when that euphoria hits you?
Well, okay, so
It's
I
me.
mean, yes and no. So I had spots of it. I went into it with like very pretty realistic. I know like some people go off the deep end, like I don't know, some people just wake off the deep end or like doing things that are totally unrelated. Like I'm not even gonna mention, but like I got spots of it, right? So like throughout the day I'd
You
get
can
like
mention it. Just leave names out.
sure, sure. So like, water fasting has nothing to do with people like drinking their own pee or like that's so bizarre. Like I don't know, man. But people can go like off the deep end with some of these sorts of things
Psychosis.
like
I call it the water fasting psychosis.
yeah, yeah. So in terms of my personal experience, I got weird detoxes. Like I think on day 30, I God, I think it's just part of the video series that I did on it, but water started to taste like spinach. Like I thought that I was drinking spinach water. I didn't actually think I was drinking spinach water, but I was like,
Mm.
roommate, did they like put something in the water? Like this tastes like spinach. And she was like, no, it's not. It's just water. It's kind of speaking from her bed because she was too tired to get up. But just like little like waves. So I would get waves of that and then waves of
Yeah,
euphoria. But I mean, I'm also like, I kind of get that anyway, just because I really love nature. But I would
yeah, and
also
you,
get waves of like absolute just my mind felt like a prison at sometimes just because there was no distraction from like my memories or
yeah,
from I mean you really have a lot of time to just be
yeah,
inside your head and you can't move so you don't
yeah,
get that release.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's very, very true. I think, yeah, the main benefit of fasting I see, the biggest one, is just the removal of family life, business life, social life. You're just laying in bed, resting, and that's why I can rejuvenate people. I wouldn't say it's the exclusion of food, it's just that generally people are on coffee and they just run around. They're not getting that rest. And when you get rest, your face feels so much better. If I go to bed at 2 a.m. versus 8 p.m., my face looks totally different the next day. And if you can do that consistently for a year, you can age yourself a lot in just a year. So that's amazing. But yeah, that's also the benefits are. That's what people get confused on. So when you're saying before about your roommate looked really rested, they're rested because they're fresh. Imagine if they did just like a bit of training and raw till 4 for that whole month as well, and exercising, their body would be like even more priming. So that's what I find in general. But no, it's amazing. And so then, what was your body weight? Do you know what your body weight was before and during, afterwards, or?
Sure. I mean, I'm a
Any idea?
woman, so I'm pretty aware. Yeah. So before it was like 140 actually. Yeah, I guess I'm not like
140.
acutely aware, but I do remember at the end of it I was like 116.
Yeah.
At 5'3". I was 116, and then in the beginning I was like 140, maybe 145. I mean, yeah. So like
Right?
yeah, chubby. It's okay.
Yeah. And then about 6 months after your fast, what was your weight approximately?
Well, that was what was sad. So we talked last episode about how I went to Doug Graham for help. Like, how do I sustain some of the benefits, including not blowing back up again? Because I didn't know. Because before then I was fruitarian and I was honestly living that lifestyle. I thought I was doing everything right. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go on a retreat. Right. So I was like, I want to make sure from the experts that I'm doing this correctly. So I ended up, I think part of it was definitely due to stress and his like absolute like vindictive, like you will never look like.
It's your thyroid. It's your thyroid.
Maybe it was both, right? So like I know that like the stress from that was horrendous, but then also and then also whatever the physical. So like typically from the books that I've read, you're supposed to regain like maybe 10 pounds of water weight or just muscle or whatever. But I basically went back to where I was. You
didn't go past, you didn't gain more.
No, God, no.
Wow.
No.
That's unusual. That's unusual.
You make me feel great about myself. Thank you.
Well, I guess that's probably because you're like an athlete, and that definitely helped. If you were, let's say you're a sedentary person with a few kids or whatever, then you could have gone up to 150, 180, 200 even. I've seen that in people. Yeah. But I guess because you're so true to your nutrition and your lifestyle, your rebound, it seems like it wasn't really there. So that's good testimony to your lifestyle and stuff.
Yeah, people were really mean to me about it though, because like I definitely got a lot of followers like, oh, you look so skinny and healthy, and I was like, thank you. I guess like I don't know, I'm just trying to do my thing and be my optimal health, but I stepped out of there with basically no real advice on how to prevent any like damage. I guess I just didn't get that much help with what to do afterwards specifically, like when to eat, how much to eat. I was just basically going off of the information that I had before. And I mean, I was cycling every day. I was like running. Just generally active. I was walking.
Your fitness lifestyle. Yeah,
drinking water.
That's what saved you from a harsh rebound. A harsh rebound for sure. I've seen some really harsh rebounds after water fasting.
Have you?
Amazing. I remember even seeing one girl at Doug's retreat. She went into town. I'm not sure exactly what she ate, but she blamed it on sun stress. But her face the next day, it looked like a baboon's bum. Her eyes split up. It's literally she just in the water fast.
Oh God.
And I saw some photos of her a few months later, and she gained it all back plus more. And I was like, why would you? And that's when I really started to understand. I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then I was saying about thyroid, how the thyroid just gets hammered when you do a water fast, and your cortisol, your adrenals just get exhausted. Especially if you go in there really. I mean, you have good genes, you have good stock. You have sort of just a lot of vigor. Let's say you see a bunch of kittens or a bunch of puppies, or any animal, any mammal, and some of them are like just sit in the corner, don't do anything, and some of them just like run around in circles. They're really affectionate, or just that's you got the high energy stock. So someone like that can do a water fast, and it will impact them, but not as much as someone who's like the weak stock sitting in the corner. I think those people should never do any water fast. I don't even recommend fasting. I recommend resting, having a month off training. But yeah, that's the lifestyle most of us live now is just so hardcore for our endocrine system, and having a month away from that, that's the magic right there. That's the magic. Unfortunately, it takes most people to do a water fast to get that rest.
Yeah.
So, and then how was your mood? Like, let's talk about your hormones even, like, if you want to, but I always find that interesting. Like, how was your how was your motivation before you went, during, or we know during, it's just non-existent, your motivation.
Yeah.
How about afterwards? Did you notice any drop in motivation, or did it go up, or was it about the same?
Well,
Zest for
just to touch
life?
upon motivation during, so I brought like a couple journals and those 3 books, and I assumed that I would be editing video the whole time. And we kind of saw this with Tim Sheaf. He was posting every day, and then towards the end, he really stopped. You just run out of energy for everything, you know. But afterwards, yeah, I mean, afterwards, I was actually pretty motivated. I was pretty happy with the fact that I'd done something. I mean, I think done something tough, done something that I challenged myself to. I think that when you do something difficult, that there's a dignity in that, you know, making the decision, I'm going to do this thing, whether it's like a marathon or whether it's fasting or whatever. I mean, I could have fasted for 5 days and gotten the benefits that I got, you know, but I decided to do 32 days, and I was the person that fasted actually the longest. So afterwards I felt motivated just because it was like, look at what I've done, you know, you can live the life that you want to lead. And it was very real to me. And it is very real to me. I mean, everybody's living the life that they want, whether you realize it or not. So, you know, to take charge of that was very empowering. So afterwards I had that as a mindset, but you know, was not motivating was gaining the weight back. That just like, and the comments that I got on YouTube, and people thought I was like sneaking food, or like, it was just so tough. Like, I don't know, people are really mean to women that like, it's just
That's no
awful.
problem. But yeah, I hear you. And that comes with the territory, you know.
Yeah.
When
But
people
my
judge us
motivation was
by
fine.
our appearance, that's just how they are.
Yeah, and I get it. I get it. I just wish that I could have known a way to not like crash so hard after. You know, I really was just trying the best that I could with the
Yeah.
information that I was given. So
Yeah, you didn't crash. It was just, I would say that, you know, for the money, I would have, if someone said to me, I'm not sure if you wrote to me or not, if I advised you, but for $13,000, you know, I would have told someone to go to Thailand for a year
I know.
and, you know, daily uploads, ride your bike, eat
Yeah.
fruit and rice and water, and just chill, just zen out for a whole year and restore and rejuvenate. That's what I was for 13 grand. Get daily massages, 2 hours of massage a day, 13 grand. They'll cover it for you, literally a year in Thailand. Rent, flights, visas, daily massage, fruit and rice, $13,000 US easy. On the beach in a condo for 13 grand for a year. Doing that, that would be, you know, that's what I've done. You know, many years of my life, and that's definitely rejuvenating. That's what I would
Nice.
recommend people do. But most people can't take a year off for life because of whatever reasons.
Well, I was ready,
Yeah.
so maybe I just should have asked you. And then you wouldn't get abused by Doug Graham at his retreat. Sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
Doug's just
So,
a prickly character, you know. Like, Doug's good if you're a for gymnastics coach, but otherwise, there's no way you want to be with Doug. Yeah, doing a water fast when you have some problems or whatever, because he'll be like,
yeah.
there was that chick called Lee. What's the name? Leah, and
Leia.
she had,
Yeah.
yeah, she was she there when you were there?
She actually went the year after, as did
That's
Ravana,
right. That's right. But
which
she
was kind of
almost died,
interesting.
I think, didn't it? Had a blood transfusion, or it was pretty serious.
Yeah, and she wasn't the only story. When I was there, there was a woman. God, I wish it was the woman who washed my hair like the last day. She was so awesome. I think she was from New Zealand, or maybe she was Australian, but just this fantastic woman.
Mm.
And her mom had interned with Doug, and she had fallen in the bathroom and actually fell like on her teeth. She had passed out and fell on her teeth. And
How did
Doug's
she fall
advice
over?
basically, so when you were going into the bathroom, there was a little like curb. Essentially, it was like artistic curb. So like
Oh yeah,
if you tripped on
yeah.
it, it was sharp edges. So, but she fell on it, and when she woke up, she was just tons of blood, and her teeth were like knocked in, and it was like really, you know, I wasn't there, but it's her mom, and she had that experience. And basically, when she went to Doug, was like hush hush, like, oh, you'll fast it away, it'll heal. And she was like, I have like dental damage. I'm going to go see a doctor. I'm going to go see a dentist. So she went she went and saw a dentist and got some help and stuff. And Doug Graham never offered money and never, I mean, this is what I heard. This is what I heard from her. So, but I have no reason to doubt her. And she was like the most awesome woman on that retreat. And just, and
Mm.
she actually came back and interned with Doug. And I guess she was saying that Doug never asked her about her mom. So it was just like every problem was kind of hush hush. And his history is kind of like that. So I didn't know any of that going into it, but I'm glad the world knows now.
Yeah,
So.
it's. I think Doug should stick to promoting fruits and vegetables and gymnastics coaching, and forget the water fasting.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
a
yeah.
massive cash cow right there. People want to spend big money to lay in bed, drink tap water in Costa Rica. They just do. You know, that romantic allure of like permanent weight loss and starving yourself for a month, which is total bogus. That's so powerful.
Mm.
At one point, I was going to do a fasting retreat. I'm thinking, man, there's so much money to be made here, and I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So dodgy.
Yeah. We
Because
should leave it
I
to the
know the
real
truth.
doctors.
I know the truth. You know, I know the truth.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't done retreats actually, because I feel like if you had, I don't know, maybe have. I like kind of fell off the community after that. I just did my own thing for a couple of years.
I
But
did my event, my 6-week event in Thailand, Thai Fruit Festival, 2014, 15 and 16, and a little mini one in 17, all for free and stuff like that. And that was
nice.
fantastic. That was good fun, inspired by Mike Harnstein and Woodstock Fruit Festival.
Yeah, that's right.
That was really good. But I think what I've learned with events, you definitely have to charge money. Otherwise, if it's free, you just attract some. You know, most 99% of people are great, but then you attract
Sure.
one or two people who just try and destroy it, and yeah, you have a lot of some issues there. But no, it's all living and learning. No regrets there.
Yeah, that's right.
So, did you ever do blood tests before and after the fast?
So actually, no. And I wish
Mm.
actually that that was part of the retreat. So I just feel like
Yeah.
there was a lot to be learned that was missed. And I kind of
What?
assumed that anything that was necessary would be offered. I mean, I'm not trying to play a victim, but I'm just saying that like I assume that everything would, if you've been doing a fasting retreat for a couple of years, I would assume that you would get some blood work. For example, at True North, they do blood work during and every week to make sure that you're on track. And that's definitely the right way to do it.
I think Doug doesn't do the blood work because one, it's extra work and extra costs,
Yeah,
and
I think so.
yeah, when you fast, you generally get massive anemia, and your thyroid takes a dive. So then people are like, oh, my thyroid, I got anemic, and my thyroid crashed during the fast. And yeah,
Yeah,
so that's, if you don't test, then you won't know.
yeah.
What test
And I
did
don't
you see at
know,
True North?
uh, God, what was it? I mean, I was mainly in the office doing scheduling, so
Mm,
I
okay.
wasn't, I can't remember off the cuff, but yeah, they definitely do it right. I think they do a couple different tests, and then they even have like a psychiatrist on board, and then anything that you could ever want is basically there. And I like that they
Yeah,
also offer you can stay there and eat clean vegan food. It's like no salt,
that's
no
cool.
oil. Yeah, it's called SOS free, so salt free, oil free, refined sugar free, so SOS free. They make it like
I'll be,
a joke.
yeah. I'll be doing the O free. I'll be doing the salt and sugar for sure. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah,
I had a friend who fasted. I won't mention his name, but I had a friend who fasted at True North, and he went downhill rapidly after that. You know,
oh,
he went
really?
downhill. His mental state. Good guy, great dude, but that just, I haven't heard from him. No one's heard from him. He's just disappeared. I'm not sure if he's still alive. I don't know if he's killed himself, but he just went into a massive spiral of depression after his fast, and
Hmm.
he went to a dark place. And I
Yeah.
would have loved to see his blood tests. And I said to him, don't do the fast, man. Don't do the fast. Just focus on your fitness and you know, and eat well. But yeah, so
Sure. Do you
unfortunately,
remember why he was fasting? The reason?
weight loss. Yeah,
Oh,
not
okay.
99% of people fast because they want to lose weight. Yeah,
Hmm.
99%. People make a reason I want to do this. It's like, no, you don't. Like if people knew fasting would make you gain weight afterwards, who's going to fast? Like no one's going to. People hide behind, I've got this health issue, you know, and then they see these before and after photos and go, oh, weight loss. Oh, that's a bikini shot. I can do that. And that's just
Huh.
like an instant hook. You know, so people tell me all the time, I'm just fasting for purity. It's like, no, you got some body image goals or maybe body image issues or whatever, which is
Hmm.
fine and normal. But let's be honest, let's be real. And so that's why I tell people, you know, just don't fast. Just do training and oil-free food, sugar and salt included, but cut the oil. Go to bed 8, 9 p.m. Get massive rest and go from there.
I like that
And that's what,
massive rest, just massive rest, make it happen. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I've
like,
definitely
I mean,
seen that.
that's what all my girlfriends do, or people I've coached over the years who get really good results.
Hmm.
That's what we did. Let's use Free as a model because people know who she is. And she was oh, I think what my computer's doing. She is yeah, so she was into the fast. And we freely did a water fast
Right.
for seven
Well, that's how
days.
she
And
got her name, right? Her original name was like Leia, and then she fasted, and then it was Free Leia, so freely, right?
yeah, it was Free Leah. And then I said, you got to spell. It was always Lee because that's a Leanne, her name, and she called it Free Leah. And I was like, you
Mm.
got to spell it with E because with the A, the Americans. She's like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. And then we went to New York and everyone's calling her Free Leah. So I told you, and I know the Americans. And so she changed it to Free Lee.
Mm.
And I'm like, add the banana girl to it, so it's even easier to remember. And then yeah, so she did the water fast, and she was gaining, she was gaining the weight, and she was doing the gym drugs, which is all, she's all open about that back in the day. She doesn't do anything anymore.
Mm.
But before we were dating, she had a bodybuilder boyfriend who's using steroids and stuff, and so she would use gym drugs, like one called clenbuterol. And she's open about it. She's done videos about it. So I'm not disclosing anything that wasn't, you
Hmm.
know. There's no banter here. But yeah, so she was doing that stuff, and that stuff really works. It shreds you down, but it kills your thyroid. It doesn't kill your thyroid, but it really knocks your thyroid. So then you get the rebound. Like there's that girl
Sure.
Stephanie Buttermore. You heard of her on
I actually
Instagram?
haven't. No, no, no.
Yeah, a girl called Stephanie Buttermore. So she was using clenbuterol, and she's got a boyfriend, Jeff Nippard, who's clearly using steroids. So when you're in that scene, your boyfriends give you a bit of this and a bit of that. So she was using that, got really skinny, and then she's rebounded. Go check her out. She's like gained
Mm.
80 pounds or something.
Wow. That's
So it's a really
unfortunate.
good example of metabolic damage. And so
Well, that
Freddie
was
was
one
doing
thing. Yeah.
that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
then we got
I believe
rid
it.
of all that just by cutting the fats, riding the bike, and consistent carb intake and refined sugar. When Freddie started adding refined sugar in, like table sugar, that's when
Mm.
she got her leanest, for sure.
Yeah.
Almost all those people.
Well, the thing is, the fruitarian lifestyle, I saw it work. Okay, well, first, I just want to say before I forget, I definitely saw some people fasting, especially for weight loss. Like, I actually had some people messaging me. Like, I remember one girl in particular that she was like, I really want to do this thing. It's for weight loss, and that's fine. Like, I do get it. But for anybody that's read a book on fasting beforehand, like there's a great book, Fasting and Eating for Health, I think by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. And he describes in the book that you'll regain some weight after. So I was like ready for like 10 pounds of like regain of water and muscle. And I was ready to do whatever I needed to like build muscle or, live that great lifestyle. But I definitely like the year after, for example, Ravana went fasting, and I had run with her and hung out with her in New York City the year previous. And I was kind of like, like I know why you're fasting, and then her channel took off. I'm like, I guess that's great until she fell off the vegan bandwagon. But I definitely have seen over the years what you're talking about. I guess, but
Not 99%.
that's
Christina,
interesting.
Morvana, this chick called Nadia, yeah, they want to know, just they want to fast to get leaner. And
Mm.
what happens is, let's say you have 200 pounds when you fast, you'll lose weight down to 120 or whatever, but then you go back to 220 or 240. For sure, you're
That's
always going to go
crazy.
back to where you were, unless you're doing something real extreme, maybe using thyroid drugs or whatever. But then you go mentally insane. Look what happened to Ravana. She just went off the loop.
Right.
She
Yeah.
became this like total fake narcissistic, like just damaged person in the end, in my opinion. Same with Tim Sheaf. When Tim Sheaf fasts, he's become, I guess, it exposes people for what they really are in the end of
Well,
the
Tim
day.
Sheaf, I think, was honestly trying his best, but he just, I
Yeah,
think he was
raging
also
eating disorder.
confused. Yeah.
Raging
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
disorder.
Yeah. I think
Which is
so.
common in our community. It's like, as I'd say, 9 out of 10 people go
Bless him.
vegan because they got some sort of eating issue. They want to hide it, for sure.
Well, I think a lot of us are also on the path to finding our best selves. That's why, like, for example, Tim Sheaf, I feel bad for him, like, I think he was honestly just trying to find the best way. And if you remember at the time, like, so 2013, right? Eating
Mm.
rice was like, it was described as like eating shards of glass, like you had said
That's
the
what
other
Philly used
day.
to say.
Right? Yeah. So at that time, it was like, I came home and it was like, You only eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, I felt like a scandalous person eating like sweet potatoes, like nothing on it. So it's like at that time, this was pre Durianrider putting sugar on his pizza. Okay. Like
Yeah,
this was a time where everything was restricted. You were eating pure fruits
yeah.
and vegetables, or you were, killing yourself basically.
Big Macs and KFC. There was no like, that's why I was quick to put that stuff on the YouTube and stuff like that. And it caused a lot of, I think it was 2013, I put that sugar in the cereal, 2013.
That's
It's
crazy.
really
Oh my God.
I was super skinny. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like about 20 pounds less than I am now. And just guzzling sugar and cereal, And if you look at my
Yeah.
face, that was like pre-steroid during and that's what I mean. And there's just the sugar makes you so emaciated. I could even say I'm doing a water fast right now, and people would believe it. I'm like, today,
Believe it. Yeah.
water fast. I just had a few slices of vegan pizza before, like so. Yeah, thyroid health is huge, and that's what I've learned a lot over the last few years. And the fasting, I'm glad I went to Costa Rica, and I'm thankful for Doug. Like, if without Doug, you wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today in terms of like having conviction for what's the better path. Sometimes you need to get ripped off or disgruntled or emotionally shaken to like go, hang on, this isn't the right path. This is a dead end street. Now I've got to go back down. So it's like walking down the neighborhood. You walk down the street and goes, this is the right street. And some not old, but some angry, grumpy dude, with a bung up finger comes out and you're like, hang on, this isn't the street to go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't the street to go down. Not that if you've got a bung up hand bad, but we're just describing Doug. And in an affectionately banterous way. So yeah, it's a lesson, and I think the biggest mistake people make in life is having resentment or vengefulness towards people who maybe they hurt them or they looked up to them, they felt hurt by them, be it a parent or mother or ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they carry that baggage, and that weighs in the face, and it weighs in our actions and how we talk and how we remember things, and that's not the way to live. It's very, very hard not to live that way. It takes effort, it takes carbohydrate, it takes empathy. And so with Doug, I also looked up to Doug a lot over the years, promoted the heck out of him. And when that whole Woodstock Fruit Festival drama came on, I honestly felt quite hurt. But then I was like, well, Doug, like, he isn't living his life he wants to live. He never wanted to be a dad. He wanted to be just, with the hot chicks and cruising around and stuff like that. And having a baby was an accident, things like that. Because he didn't get a vasectomy, he didn't organize himself. So he's living in a pain, and he sees us cruising around. He sees me gallivanting around Woodstock and people all around me and getting all this money and fame and all this stuff. And he's like, hey, who's this dude? Like, I've been doing this for 20 years, and why is he getting all this? Why is Harley getting all this fame and stuff? Well, I'm putting more work into you, Doug, the last year. And so so when he became bitter and vengeful towards me, like at the start, I was like, hey, what are you doing? But then I was like, okay, I understand. Like, if I was in his position, I can empathize. I'll be like, yeah, what's going on here?
I couldn't honestly, because you gave him so much credit. Like, I only knew about Doug. I think he's just, what is it? He's a definition narcissist, right? So like, I think even though I think it was the first year of the Woodstock Fruit Festival, he got on Tim's case. So it's just like, if he wasn't, like, the festival was basically based around him for like long enough for him to be satisfied, but it still wasn't enough. So I mean, I think, like, you and Freely gave him so much credit. You in particular just mentioned his name quite a lot. And then you guys were so good for him. I mean, I only was at that retreat paying anything because I knew about him from you guys. But I think it was that first year, Tim Van Orden, right? So fantastic speaker, fantastic guy, probably the nicest guy we've ever met. I mean, he's just great. And he's backstage, and I just remember he came out from backstage and he kind of looks at me and he's stunned, and he's like, Doug Graham just called me Timmy. Like, as condescending, he's like, Timmy, don't tell anybody you eat avocados. Like, an avocado? Like, it's an avocado, and he's the 10-time national trail running champion of the US. He can say whatever he wants. But he had like cornered him and been like, okay, Timmy, like, you're not going to say anything to like contradict what I'm all about. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Doug's that's just the analysis. I also find Tim Van Orden, I do find him quite fake as well. Yeah, nice enough dude, but yeah, he used to bitch pretty hard about me. I shared a cabin with him, at Woodstock, and in the same little quarters, and he'd be pitching about me, like, and I'd walk in the room like, "Hey, Harley, come on in." And then someone else goes, "Man, Tim was just slagging the heck out of you, man." And you walk in, now it's your best buddy. So that's just Tim. But I understand Tim as well. He lives at home. He's 50 something, and he ain't living his dream life. So I don't have any hate or bitterness towards Tim, even if I find him fake, because I can, jealousy or whatever you want to call it. Like, I get it. And so with you're dealing with Doug, you didn't get what you want from him, but he's not getting what he wants from himself. So I wouldn't hold on to it. And it's hard not to, because you looked up to him, you gave him big money, and he disappointed you. But he's not living his dream life. So how can he really serve you? Because he's not even serving himself. Doug Graham is not living the life he wants to live, and most people aren't. I'm not picking on Doug. I'm just saying most people aren't. Like all my haters or whatever, none of them are living a better life than I am or whatever. Like, that's why they're hating, because they're jealous or they feel insecure or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you didn't get Doug at his best, and you're never gonna get it because he's not living his best. And that goes for anyone in their life.
And he's not giving his best to his wife, and that's the most disconcerting thing of all.
Because he's not giving it to himself. If we don't give it to ourselves, we can't give it to anyone. If you can't put the life jacket on yourself and you're just struggling to stay afloat, how are you going to help other people? You got to put the life jacket on yourself. That's why every day I do what I want to do, no matter what the consequences. And so then when I'm in a relationship with people, I can give because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm living where I want to live, eat what I want to eat, do what I want to do. Otherwise, you have massive resentment. That's why I don't live for my parents. I don't live for who I'm with in my life. I live for me, and then people get their best from me. And that otherwise you get mad resentment towards people because you've made sacrifice, whatever, and then they don't meet expectations. You're like, "Oh my God, I sacrificed so much for you." That's why I never sacrifice for anyone. I just do what I want to do, and that way you can give your best. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So you gave money to a person who isn't giving themselves the best, and you expected the best from them, but they can't deliver that to you because they can't even give to themselves. So they're just in this. And narcissism, everyone's a narcissist to some degree. Mm-hmm. There's a documentary about me called Durianrider, the Narcissist. And I didn't know what narcissism was until they did documentaries about me. So I looked it up. And so narcissism is just like a real vengeful, just psychotic and stuff like that at different degrees, but it comes from a place of insecurity. It comes from a place of insecurity, not having your needs met as a kid or an adult or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we have to have empathy. Obviously, you don't get involved with narcissists because they're just damaged goods. It's like buying a car that's never going to be able to get fixed. Like, what are you doing? You're going to be constantly having issues with it. So keep it, maybe jump in it for an Uber ride, but don't bring it home with you.
Well, I think you also nailed it last time, which was like, he's a good gymnastics coach, but he doesn't know he literally can't give you the information on how to stay healthy and be your best self after that, or even stay slim after a fast, because he doesn't know it.
He can't even, he's in the calorie restriction mindset. He's like, "Gonna eat less than you burn." Doug can't
then
even
gives
stay
you no
lean
tips,
himself.
Which was interesting. My phone, my computer's just about to die. I'm just going to plug it in real quick, but
he can't even get himself lean all the time. He has to starve to get lean. He's in the calorie restriction. Like, Doug's never been to Thailand. Doug's a fruit lover, but he's never been to Thailand. With the durian lives,
the durian.
So we have to be fair on anyone in our life and go, well, this person's not even living how they want to live, so why would I even invest in them?
That's an interesting balance too, because like when I am doing something for another person, I won't self-sabotage to a degree. I'm not just saying anybody, it has to be somebody I care about, but if I like rise to the expectation of somebody who can keep me accountable, makes a huge difference. Like there's a balance between like being happy with your own life and then also coming through for others. So like, I think, for example, when you post videos, you're aware that you're bettering the lives of the people that follow you.
Contribution. Yeah.
Yes, contribution. Yeah. The what is it? 6 Human Needs.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Contribution, significance, love, community, connection, growth.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you were going to say something though.
But yeah, and that's where we have to come from. Like, money or weight loss will not make us happy. You have that guy Tom Bilyeu. You heard of him? I was mentioning the other day.
I
Tom
have
Dillon.
not actually. I should probably write these down.
I think he founded the nutrition, the whey protein bar, low carb bar, cancer bar, Quest Nutrition, and he
Cancer bar.
became I think he's like a billionaire or something. Apparently, I don't know if it's true, but I was reading the other day. He's had like 5 suicide attempts or something like that. Let me look it up actually. Just let me Google it. I don't want to say it. Bill you suicide.
The founder of Quest Bar I actually met here at a gallery, so it might be the same person. That'd be really funny.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Oh yeah. Here we go. So he's Tom after he talks about rebuilding his life after contemplating suicide. So things like that. But he just looks so depressed in his videos. You know, when he's interviewing people, have a look. So this guy's like, you know, got more money than knows what to do with. You know, but he's so undercarb and it's not really living, you know, in a real world. He's just mad, depressed, and it shows in his face. So maybe he's got resentment towards his dad or his mum or whoever. But so it doesn't matter how much money we got, what our body looks like if we don't have that emotional health going on there, that mental health. And that comes from having gratitude and empathy and understanding that there's so many damaged people out there that if we continue to damage other people or ourselves because we had an encounter with a damaged person, then we lose massively. You know, like I can have resentment towards Doug or plenty, but I don't at all. I don't have any hate for a single person, even the guy who tried to kill me in January.
Oh,
You know, like I don't have resentment or hate towards him. I'm just like, man, this guy's off tap. This guy's damaged goods. And so, you know, like, what am I going to do? You know, I can continue to. No, it's like, so it's just about having empathy. You know, you've got to have empathy. There's a lot of damaged people out there, and we're going to come across them at some point in our life. And their job in my world is they teach us how to be better people. Yeah. And it can be really hard because you build up this resentment. You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it's like, hang on, I'm just being like them. I'm just being like them, you know. And that's just an energy drainer. And age is the face. You know, the hate on some of these people's eyes. You know, they're spitting hate. So that's not happiness. That's not life for me. It doesn't matter what your physique looks like. If your face is full of anger and resentment, you can spot that in someone, can't you, Anastasia? You feel that?
yeah. I think, you know, it's also in their actions often, right? It's like people are their actions, basically. Like, what do you do when nobody's looking? What do you do when people are looking? It's basically you're telling me who you are, you know. And often it's good, and sometimes it's not, and that's fine.
It's life. It's just growing. It's just growing. But you've got a very radiant face, and you've got a. That's why it doesn't suit you. But I think this is a lesson, the life lessons you've manifested for yourself. You know, because this whole raw food and vegan and alternative lifestyle. It's a big matrix. It's a big rabbit hole we go down, and we just we get caught up in certain streets and certain niches and cults or whatever, and it's this is all interesting stuff. And it's just about having that awareness to go, hang on, okay, now I'm so much more of an aware person than I was a year ago, and I'll probably laugh at myself watching the video in a year's time. Go, dude, you know. So I love that growth, just learning, become a better person, a better coach, a better partner, a better self-aware person, and helping others, and just seeing things for what they really are, and having context. I think context is very, very powerful. So Doug Graham, I guarantee you, he was undercarb when he was talking to you. He's like, had all this shit in his head. He probably got off the phone with Roz, and he's like, Roz is busting his balls, and he's busting her, and it's just, you know. And then he comes in, and he sees you, and he's just like, oh no, and just, you know, he's got all this stuff on his plate, and he doesn't have enough carbohydrates in his blood system to really deal with it all. So he's just reacting, you know. And then you're in a very vulnerable spot where your body's like in extreme stress from 42 days of starvation.
Yeah.
And that's how your cells see it. Whether your mind sees it or not, it's different, but your cells see it as like massive starvation. Like, we're dying here. And so then you have this emotional, like, this king hit, and knocks you mentally. And so it's just, you have two people in vulnerable states feeling, you know, negative effects. So that's why it's important not to hold on to that, because it was just just one of those things. It was a result of it was a result of less than ideal cellular conditions in both people. You know.
Yeah, it was a really confusing time, but I think that one of the life lessons is definitely perspective. Like, I love that you keep mentioning gratitude. The only tattoo I've ever considered getting on my body was basically gratitude, because it is a
Yeah,
superpower, you know. So, but it is
yeah,
that shift in perspective, and sometimes it can be
yeah.
hard. But I think reaching out to people that can
Very
give us
hard.
that perspective helps a
If this
lot.
was easy, yeah. If this was easy, no one would take antidepressants and do drugs and all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah. Hard to have gratitude consistently, because when you do have that, when I'm going to get a gratitude tattoo, I'm going to read the 4 agreements or whatever. The universe is like, okay, cool. Then we'll give you this. You know, we'll give you that. We'll give you this.
Take that, yeah,
Yeah.
hilarious.
As a test,
Yeah,
like
that's
you're gonna be a
funny.
cyclist. Okay, let's give you angry drivers. Let's give you a dog. Let's give you 4 flat tires in a week. And so it's yeah. So that's you're right. The
You know what's
gratitude's
funny?
there, and
I've actually never gotten a flat. Like, literally in my time. I've
I
actually
bet you will
literally
this
never
week.
gotten a flat.
I bet you will this week. That's amazing.
No. God
Never
loves
gonna.
me. Let's hope not.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
never gotten a flat.
flats.
I don't know.
Yeah, flats for me are like cleaning dishes. I prefer not to do them, but I can do them when I
Mm,
do them. You know. But yeah,
nice.
when I first had the bike, the flat tire I was scared of getting the flats. So I didn't even know how to fix it. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then but yeah, it's having that gratitude in the context, and that's why
Mm.
I'd have zero. I can honestly say, you know, for all the damaged, crazy people I've ever met in my life, who at the time I was like, wow, I don't like this moment. This really sucks. I have no hate or distaste for them. You know, but I have no problems calling out their behavior. I have no problems exposing it, but I don't have it as a form of spite and vengefulness. I'm not
Mm.
like, yeah, you know, I'm just like, this is just how it is. And I maybe expose or highlight or not even expose, but just communicate what happened with the intention to help other people. You learn from that experience, and also help the person who did the less than optimum behavior also learn and go, hey, you know what I did was pretty shit. You know, I was wrong. I'm sorry. How can I make it better? I think being able to apologize for our mistakes and be aware of them,
Yeah.
that's critical for healing, emotional healing.
Yeah.
And physical healing's easy. Just eat clean, ride your bike, do some walking, fresh air. But that mental healing, the ability to, you know, this is, I call this like emotional fasting, you know, to be able to look back and go in my life, you know what, I really did wrong by that person. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, look, I'm wrong. I was sorry. How can I make it better? And that person may not, you know, they're going to be like, you know, you're blocked. See you later. I don't want to do that. But if you've got that intent to say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm wrong. Then that's all it is. If the person doesn't accept it, okay, that's their loss. But having
Mm.
that intention, something like, I'd never do that, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I can just live so light is, you know, I've made some mistakes in my life, and I'm happy to apologize to anyone who feels they need an apology from me, you know,
Yeah, it's
because I'm about
healing.
growing and learning. It's healing.
And also you're taking it's empowering because you're taking initiative with something that it is kind of funny. Even imagining as you're speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, if I, you know, like I try to apologize when it's necessary, just because it's like, so what? Like, you know,
That's where you grow.
the better I can learn, the better I'll do. But if you apologize to somebody, there is such like it's just like de-stresses. It just gets out all the steam. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Now we're cool. You know, as long as you actually did something wrong. But yeah, to make it
Yeah, but
authentic. Yeah.
that's where you grow, and that's where you grow. And I mean, we live in a society though. If you apologize to someone, they think most people think, oh, you're weak now. You're like, you know, they mistake kindness for weakness. No, no, no. But
Mm,
that's their loss. That's their
we're
loss.
better in
You
the
know,
West about that though than some other places. Like, yeah,
potentially. But yeah, that's generally the reason people don't want to do that, because they don't lose face or whatever. But man, I would just rather live free, emotionally
yeah.
free. You know,
Well, I think
emotionally free.
also, yeah, and I think also like the timing is really interesting, right? So like we're talking about so the fasting, and then like when I was really vulnerable, Doug Graham like wrecking my emotional health and you know, my physical health suffering from that. But I think that, you know, it definitely saved me from a lot of things. Like the timing, I always thought was like looking at it, like 2020 vision, looking back on it, it's like I avoided a lot of things. Like people that watch my YouTube channel, for example, and then they meet me in person, you're like, you're the same person as you are on your channel. And I'm like, yeah, obviously, like that's just me. But there were a lot of people coming out at that time that they were different, or they're not the same, or you know, they're literally
Right.
lying about what they eat. And
Yeah.
you know, I was able to retain like who I am, and also like kind of go off, start a company, see what that was all about, be an entrepreneur, do all these different things. I had the most loving boyfriend for like who was my partner and just like my in so many ways for like 5 years, 5.5 years. So it's like I got to see a lot of good.
Winter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic person. We're still friends, but
Good.
lots of
Good
great
guy.
memories. Yeah, and we met the summer after when I had regained all the weight from the fast. And for me to get all of those hate comments on YouTube, like one woman was like, "You must be sneaking food on the side. You're wearing a scarf to hide your fat." And I was like, "I'm just wearing this scarf because I like it. What are you talking about?" But I met him then, and he was like, thought I was the most beautiful woman in the world, which of course I am. But it was just
energy, beauty.
right. And
That's the best
for
aesthetic.
him to love me for who I was, and like for us to have all of those experiences, and for me to have turned away from the community because of what I experienced with Doug Graham, allowed me, I think, to this day, to have an undying passion for health. And an undying passion for health will follow me for the rest of my life, even past forgiving Doug, even past anything. I avoided a lot of drama just by stepping off and like having to figure out my own stuff. So in retrospect, I guess it was all for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. You've manifested everything. You manifested 13 grand in Costa Rica. You manifested Doug's bad mood. You manifested this Zoom conversation. We just manifest things. We manifest lessons, and it's about learning from that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some lessons you don't want to learn when you have them, and you're like, I don't want to learn this. This ain't happen. But the reality that we could die any day, we could have a stroke, we could get hit by a car, we could fall over in the bathroom and kill ourselves accidentally, or we get shot or assassinated, whatever. That reality that could happen any hour of the day is a great reminder not to live in resentment or hate, because we could go any time. I think we have this illusion of like, well, when I'm 80, I'm going to be doing this. This next hour isn't a guarantee. The next 5 minutes isn't a guarantee. That's why it's important to live in the moment and enjoy what we have in front of us. And that's success. Success is wanting what you've got. Depression is being self-absorbed, saying that person did that to me back in the past. I can't enjoy the moment now because that happened in the moment. That's massive depression right there. Focusing on self to the extent of like analysis to paralysis of what happened to me in my past. My mum did this, my dad did this, or whoever did this, and that's total failure. That's Robin Williams. Robin Williams killed himself because he was just so self-absorbed. It's good to be self-aware, but self-absorbed, where it's always just you. Then that's when you go massive depression. And it doesn't matter the fame, money. Robin Williams is a great one because everyone knows who he was. He made all of us laugh. More money than ever needed, ever. More fame than not to do with, set for life in most of his eyes, and killed himself, because he was so self-absorbed.
Yeah. How much do you focus on? So I was talking earlier about often when we do things for ourselves, we will self-sabotage, like eating healthy, for example, right? So, or a personal project. But if you realize that you're doing it and you're helping other people, so there's a security guard at work that he reversed diabetes by following a vegan diet. And I was able to give him some advice, give him B12 for free, I helped him in every way that I could, and he took the action. He started working out, he reversed his diabetes on a vegan diet. And, and he cooks for his whole family, and he's lived here. The whole community knows him, and I think the motivating factor for him was just like his whole family watching him and him being the example. And he's also fighting cancer at the same time. So to be able to look at his family and be like, I'm doing the right thing. Look, in your own life, you can make the right decisions because I am as well. And if I'm going through all this shit, and for years he wasn't able to exercise even, he gave up mountain biking, he gave up this, he gave up that, so there's a slippery slope. So to come out of that and make the right decision here and then there, and a step here and a step there, and now he's reversed his diabetes, for him, a great motivating factor is the community. And I know that for me, if I'm going to post a video and I think it's about me and how I look, and it's fine and I can kind of do it, but I'm like, oh man, like that's kind of, it's fine, but it's kind of pretentious, But if I put out a video and which is fine, I guess, like I should be able to enjoy that, I guess. But like if I think that the video that I'm putting up is honestly helping somebody else to make the right decision to go vegan, I'll do it. I'll stay up all night and I'll do it. So how much does that affect your life on a daily basis?
Boy, I mean, I think good lighting is important. We want to take advantage of good lighting for one, because sometimes the lighting's really bad. You might scare someone off. So I think it's important to use good lighting, but not to the extent where we're like analyzing every nanogram of light on our face and like, is that perfect? Like, yeah, it's like close
Right,
enough's
right,
good
right.
enough.
Yeah.
There's a reason golden hour is good, but yeah, just contribution. It's contribution. The other day I was helping there was a seagull. Um, I noticed in the water it looked really weak, and there was a seagull, and I'm like, there's something wrong with that bird, and I snuck up on it, and I grabbed it,
Mm,
and didn't have enough
mm,
energy to fly away, and it had
mm.
fishing line wrapped around its feet,
Yeah,
and so there was some fisher people on the jetty, so I said, "Hey, you got a knife?" And I got a knife and I cut the bird free from all the fishing line. It would have lost one foot because it was really like just hanging off, but the other foot,
sure.
it was now could swim and fly better. And then there was a bit of squid on the jetty that someone had caught and cut up. So I just grabbed the squid and just shoved it in the seagull's gullet, and I put some water down its throat, and it was like it swallowed it up.
Sure, sure.
And but I was just totally immersed in the seagull, helping the seagull.
Mm.
I had no problems in the world. Nothing mattered.
Right.
I had stinky, fishy squid hands, or
Yeah.
it didn't matter where my bite was. It's kind of someone steal my bite. There was just this focus on helping this animal, and then
Mm.
I just felt so good. So it was just like a win-win. The bird got helped. Maybe it died in sleep. Who knows? But it's just about the intention of helping. And then it's just a reminder. It's like, wow, like when you're serving others, especially animals, especially wild
Yeah.
animals, who have no voice or whatever, it lifts you up so much. But when we're self-absorbed, looking in the mirror for 2 hours a day or whatever, or just taking 100 selfies and looking for the best one and spending an hour to do that, that's the road to depression. That's the gateway to self-sabotage. That's narcissism, where we're just so self-absorbed. Self-aware is important. Self-absorbed, skip that.
Yeah, yeah.
Be environmentally absorbed. Focus on what our environment's going on, and how
Right.
can we help our environment. It might be pick up a bit of plastic, or depressed people don't pick up plastic. Depressed people just dwell on what happened to them at the shop today, or their
Right.
boyfriend did this, or their mum did that, or their dad did this, or whatever.
Right.
20 years ago, it happened. That's self-absorbed. That's depression. So
Yeah,
the way to
exactly.
get out of that is to have gratitude and give. People, I don't want to give to humans because humans rip me off. Okay, give to animals. Or give
Yeah.
to someone in a nursing home. You know, someone's at the last legs or whatever. Just give. Just go to.
Yeah, just get out of yourself.
Yeah, go to the Philippines and go move into a slum and become the carer for kids with no legs or whatever. Just do something, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, helping someone
You're
else's
so right
life.
about how it clears your mind too. Yeah,
100%.
I mean, you're so right. Like, I remember some of the best memories that I have, if I look back on the past like 10 years, were always either exercising or with somebody that I really cared about, which also gets you out of yourself, right? Because you're one. Or I mean, like I remember once I had been vegan for a little bit and I was on a run, right? So I'm going running. I'm like in Greenwich, Connecticut, so the ocean's right there. I'm like running along the pier, and I was gonna go to the pier and just run home. So I run to the edge of the pier, and there's all these fishermen, and the fishermen catch fish. So they're like all
Yeah,
drinking beer, and there's like music, whatever, and they're just getting drunk. And I remember seeing this one fish, and it was just like really big and like kind of, it was still trying to live, it was just kind of like just twitching there. And I looked at the fish, and I looked at the fisherman, and I looked at the pier, and I looked at the fish. I was like, fuck it. And I took the fish and I threw it as hard as I could back in the water. And
yeah,
all of the heads turned and they were like, oh, they all saw
yeah,
the arc of this fish dive back into the water. And they just,
yeah.
as they were still looking before they could look back at me, I was like, and I'm gone. So one of the best, but I'll never forget that, and it's like, and none of my worries, or my worries about my weight, or my worries about, I don't know, where I was going to make money, or just
Yeah.
anything,
How
or
good
my
that feel?
relationships, right? Or my
You're
past,
buzzing.
gone. Yeah.
That's better than cocaine. That feeling when you chuck a fish back. I've done that so many
Yeah.
times. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
sorry,
believe
mate,
it.
it's too small. And they're like, what? And it's too small. And depending on how angry they look, I'm either running or I'm like, no, it's too small, mate. Yeah, it's too small. So yeah, that's like you get the massive high. That's like that's a massive good on you. When I do the
Yeah.
fish, I generally grab the fish by the tail and
Mm.
spear drop it into the water so it doesn't like slap. Just grab it by the tail and
Yeah.
just drop it straight if you can
Mm. Just
next to it. But
gently.
yeah, there you go. That's the example. Giving
Yeah.
to an animal, setting
Yeah,
it free to the
exactly.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's liberation right there for ourselves and the animals, and that
You know,
is
and I,
free and that is real.
yeah. So maybe your perspective is a little bit different, you know, as a man, or because you have a six pack or whatever. But, you know, back to that giving, you know, I think sometimes I forget because I've been in it, and you know, for years I had that kind of like Doug Graham, like, you're not enough, you'll never look like freely, you know, just that kind of like that negative thinking, right? So it'll make you feel worthless to a certain degree, or like everything that you're doing is not worth it, in other words. But I think that sometimes I forget that, like, the knowledge that I can give people, for example, the security guard that reversed his diabetes, is worth it. You know, and I
Yeah,
don't think of myself, like, I don't struggle with self-esteem. Like, I love myself, I'm confident, it's fine. But like,
very confident.
I think, thank you. Yeah, I think that, you know, as vegans, we sometimes forget that perspective of that we can help. You know, especially because like I worked for Vitamix. I was their top Vitamix sales rep for years. Like, I know how to make a hot soup. I know how to make an ice cream. I know how to make any smoothie or chop vegetables or make it, like, I know everything about the Vitamix. I know, you know, how to start a company. I know how to hire people and
Yeah.
train people. I know how to eat in various different vegan ways. And for me, I kind of take it for granted, but it is important for every vegan out there to remember that, like, no matter where you're at, that there's somebody underneath you. Like, some people don't know how to bake a potato. So we can help everybody that's less advanced than us, no matter how far up you are, or no matter how little experience that you have. Is like, my experience is valuable, your experience is valuable, you know. And anybody who's
Yeah.
just getting into it, maybe they can help their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their friend
100%,
eat more fruits and
100%.
vegetables.
Yeah, eat less oil, eat less animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's infinite ways, and that's generally, that's when we win, is when we get off on helping others. And even the thing with helping humans is beneficial as well, because, you know, even if someone stabs you on the back or tries to run you under the bus, metaphorically speaking, if you have helped them go vegan or eat more vegan food, then that just helps that helps them. That's just better for the environmental footprint right there. So that's where you get that massive emotional win, no matter
That's right.
what. So yeah, it's so powerful. Just giving back to Mother Nature, basically. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mother
Vegan army
Nature's
helping the planet. Let's do this, guys. Let's do it.
yeah, it's just, you know, I get a buzz out of picking up a bit of plastic on the road or whatever, or chucking a recycling bottle in the bin. I don't get a buzz off that. Or I get a buzz out of getting extra miles out of my bike tire before it goes to landfill. And when we can have simple joy out of stuff like that, we'll never ever feel depression, really. Yeah, maybe we'll feel it, but we won't be able to dwell on it. It's like, hang on, my life purpose isn't to be depressed and needy. My life purpose is to help the environment. So what am I doing? Well, why am I even thinking about this? This is me. What am I doing? Let me get back on my purpose. And that, yeah, so, and
Interesting.
that happens most minutes of the day, like a steering wheel. It's like you're driving through the day, driving through consciousness where you're awaking, and you got to hold the steering wheel and just control your mind where it's going. And so easy to go back into the, you know, over here.
Yeah.
Just go, no, back here, go straight. So
Yeah.
that's really important, to have that steering wheel grip every minute of the day. And that's meditation, you know, that's stuff like that. It helps you have awareness about thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
yeah,
I
that's very
think one of
powerful.
the most useful things that you had ever said, I think, especially in the beginning, and what you just said now, whether you're conscious of it, was like, that's not who I am. Right. So, like, how you identify yourself. So I think
Yeah.
back in the day, the way that you phrased it that resonated with me was like, you have to think of your identity as an athletic, fit person, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
Identity.
like, when you get up, what do you do? Well, as a fit person, what would you do? You'd go for a run, or you'd go for a walk, or you'd go for a bike
Drink some
ride.
water. Yeah. Put some sneakers
Yeah.
on. Yeah. That's, yeah, identity. That's very, yeah, good we brought that up. That's, yeah. So for me, everyone's an athlete because everyone has a body, everyone has cells. So just getting up in the morning, drinking some water, having some fruit or some sugar, some carbohydrates for your cells to run on, and
Mm.
even putting on some footwear. Like if you put on racy footwear, like if you put on a pair of Ultra shoes, Ultra Escalante or Nike Next Percent, you just feel better because your contact with the earth. Or even if you go barefoot and walk outside in the grass, you're gonna feel better. You know, I won't be walking barefoot around your house, but if you go out in the street, if you choose different shoes, if you choose Birkenstocks, which are hard, you have a bit more of a hard sensation on the ground. But if you put on some Nike Next Percent or Ultra Escalante, people go, I wouldn't wear Nike because it's Nike. And it's like, they're all made in the same factories in China. Put them on. You see what I mean? Like, have that open mindedness, put on a pair of Nike Next Percent. And for me, they're just like magic shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Next best would be Ultra Escalante.
Mm-hmm.
And it just changes your whole way you see things. Changes your whole perception of reality, because your foot is the contact for the earth. And like when you go barefoot on the beach or barefoot in the ocean, just feel it. But when you walk around the concrete, if you're wearing hard shoes, it's a hard reality. So if you have that soft race reality, it's amazing. Different, change your perception. And I
I'm gonna
understand what I've
send
got.
them this recording of you talking about them and then get you a sponsorship or something, because that was like, and then you're on the beach, the sunlight, like that was beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, because I remember I used to work in a running store back in 2000, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, wow, it goes so quick. And I used to wear these shoes called Nike Pegasus, the Bowerman edition, and they were so soft, they were so comfortable. You could wear them all day. And when I wore the Nike Air Max or whatever, it's really hard, and it's like it moves different. And I was just thinking, man, is this some sort of weird conspiracy? Like, my brain feels different when I'm wearing these race shoes versus these fashion Nikes. And I can sell more shoes when I'm wearing these ones. And I was like the number one seller. And I believe that was largely due down to my carbohydrate intake, my passion for the footwear, but also my mood, because my feet were comfortable. They weren't crimped up and hard and numb. They were like soft and ready to go run a marathon. And it just made me feel in a good mood. But footwear is just so underrated. Footwear, is just so underrated. It's amazing how our feet, they are like a precursor to many of our moods, just as our muscle glycogen is, just as our hydration is, just as how our sleep also is, and our hormones as well. All these things have such an effect. We don't even think about that. We just think, this happened to me, this means that. It's like, they can if you want, but is that very empowering to hold on to that?
Right.
So that's why it would be like, some people just have a mission to try and destroy my image. And I'm like, well, you can try and do that, but you're just going to waste your whole life doing that. You're going to age yourself, have all this resentment, whatever. I'm still going to live my best life, so whatever. So that's a good example for anyone who's able to see, like, if you can't handle hate from other people, then you're not really living your purpose. If someone's going to
Yeah, it's
knock
a
you
waste of
off your
time.
path, someone's going to knock you off the path, and those people are really good at helping you determine, am I committed or not.
Yeah. And the footwear thing is another layer to how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So like I make my bed in the morning because I think they recommend it in the army or something, or for self-esteem or something, just because at the end of the day, coming back to a bed that's made, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, it's those little things like that. So it's kind of a new perspective on that, like what footwear you wear. That's interesting. I'm going to start thinking about the kind of things that I wear on my feet now. I mean, I just wear sandals all day, so.
Yeah, they're good, but I don't let my girlfriends, it sounds really crazy, but I don't let my girlfriends wear bad footwear out the house, because I know that they'll set them off in a worse mood, I remember when Freely used to wear flip-flops, and I was like, I'm going to do an experiment here. I'm going to bet she's going to be in a worse mood with flip-flops than her Nike Pegasus. And it would happen. And I'm like, these flip-flops got to go. And so I'd get scissors on them and cut them. Or I'd hide them.
Oh my
And
God.
eventually I just stole them, because I'm cutting up flip-flops is bad for the environment. So I just stole them and gave them to a thrift store, and I wouldn't let her wear flip-flops. I'd fight it. And then eventually she started to learn, actually, yeah, you're right. These flip-flops are, they're dangerous and injury. Then she got a really bad injury. She cut her foot open.
Oh,
And I was
her
like,
ankle, right?
Yeah, that's right. Her ankle back in 2010.
Yeah.
And so that was like, then she got a staph infection on it. And I'm like, that wouldn't have happened if you had flipped, And she's like, okay, you're right. So then she eventually understood it. So yeah, sandals and stuff. I mean, at the beach is okay, but otherwise, your dominant shoe should be something very racy. And I noticed Natasha's mood. If she's wearing my Nike Next Percent, she's like, more like, let's go do this, let's go do that.
Sure,
if she's wearing a pair of vegan Birkenstocks, I know, she won't be an optimum, and so she rarely wears them outside the house anyway. So those things can make a huge difference. Handbags, I don't let my girlfriends wear handbags, because it's, like, your posture's like that.
That's right. It's so funny.
You can't breathe
Yep. Oh my God.
You can't be full feminine flow, and you can't. So handbags, things like that. People say that's controlling. It's like, it is controlling. It is manipulative. But I want people to have a good time around me, and I want to have people in a good mood around me. And so I don't wear things on my body that are going to restrict my energy, because I don't want to be an undercarb, flaky, angry, mopey dude.
Yeah, and I think you communicate to people why you're doing stuff as well. Like I've always enjoyed how you just make your girlfriend's like the best life. Like, I don't know. That's what it looks like from my perspective. I could be wrong, but
That's
I
what I
like
do.
how you take care of them. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that. I think every man and every woman has a responsibility. The person in our life, when we leave them or whatever happens, we break up or whatever, they should be in a better place than when we found them physically,
Yeah.
emotionally, and financially. And if they're not, we didn't do our best.
Yeah.
That's
Do you know
that's
what
my
my number one
personal
mantra
opinion.
is?
What's that?
So mine is, if we're going to be in a relationship, whether it's friendship or like a real relationship, it's that we inspire and support each other to be our best.
That's true.
And that's a good
it.
foundation. And so my relationships have been that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the best, when you both going there to give and make each other feel good. That's like the best. That's like, could be sex wise, it could be hanging out wise, it could be anything. When you both going in there to give pleasure to each other in whatever ways that means, then that's when you have a good click.
Yeah.
And I
Win-win.
think that's win-win, the Winfinity.
Winfinity. It's a lot more fun. I'm just saying. So yeah.
It is. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best.
I had a quick question actually for you. So on a little bit of a different topic. So so in terms of fasting, okay, so there's like long-term fasting, and then intermittent fasting right now is really popular. So I wanted to ask you, I suspect I can guess how you feel about that, but you kind of described eating big breakfast. So like, how do you structure like your eating throughout the day? Like, do you eat a big meal at night? Do you eat a big meal in the morning? Do you skip lunch? Like, do you have just even meals? Like, what does your life now look like?
Yeah, it depends. The last few years I've been very, very sedentary compared to back in the day where I do a lot more cycling, spending like 7 hours a week behind the computer, which I love. So my appetite is a lot less than when I'm smashing big Ks out all year long, just living for the bike. So obviously your appetite drops off. I still eat the exact same foods. I always eat to my appetite. Like, and I always eat before I'm hungry. I never wait till I'm hungry. Doesn't want to better from behind the computer. Like, when you're hungry, you can't focus. You're not as productive. I always have food in my belly, some carbohydrates, my muscle glycogen is always getting topped up. So I wake up and I always have something within 10 minutes of getting out of bed. Sometimes, like lately, it's been cold, so I'll wake up, get some water, get a piece of fruit, and then go back to bed and work on my phone for an hour, and then get up and go start the day when the sun comes up more. So I never ever fasted training. I don't highly recommend against that. It's bad for your thyroid, bad for your mood later in the day, bad for your hormones. So I always have something small in the morning. Even if I don't feel like it, I'm not hungry in the morning, but I'll always have a piece of fruit. Or if I don't have no fruit, it'll be like maybe a Cliff Bar or just some sugar and water, or be it juice or soft drink or whatever I've got. Just sugars for the brain, some sucrose, glucose, fructose for the brain. And that's such a game changer right there. I don't wake up with caffeine. I rarely use it. Ritalin, Adderall, things like that are not part of my daily, monthly, weekly, even yearly routine.
Sure.
So if you're using stimulants to get your day started, that's a really, really bad way to do it, because it just not good for your adrenals, it's not good for your thyroid, it's not good for your mental state. Caffeine is a gateway drug to SSRI medications, antidepressant medications. Caffeine's a gateway drug to Xanax, etc. And it's very, very sad to see young people get hooked on that stuff.
Well, the half-life for caffeine as well is so long. I was surprised at how long it was. It really stays in your system for a long time.
It depends on the person as well, yeah. I'm very caffeine sensitive because I hardly ever use it. So so meal-wise, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just I eat enough for breakfast, I'm good for hours, and I eat enough for lunch, good for hours, and I eat enough for dinner, I'm good for hours. Just fall asleep when I hit the pillow. But I'm never ever hungry. I'm never hungry. I never skip carbohydrates. And I'll always eat before I'm hungry. Because I'm like, I haven't eaten for a few hours, I should eat something. I'm not hungry, but I will eat it, because I know if I skip that meal or wait for a few more hours, then I'll be going into that red zone where I'm like, I'm not really present. I'm just thinking about food. It's like if you go to the toilet, like I'm sort of busting to go have a pee now, but I can hold on,
Right.
But let's say I hold another 10 or 20 or 30 minutes, all I'm going to be thinking about is my bladder. So if you delay eating, all you really think about is eating, so get those carbohydrates in. So you're like, I'm done. Next, Next, and you can focus so much better after you've had some carbohydrate or some food maybe have a little lay down, have a little nap or whatever. You know, just need more rest. Do that, and then give
God, I
your
need
body.
to learn how to do that.
Yeah,
Napping's really hard for me. I don't know.
why is that? If you don't need to nap, don't nap. But if you need to nap, nap.
Yeah. I think it's hard to give myself permission. I don't feel like I'm being
Oh,
productive.
that's really a bad one. You'd be way more productive. I'm way more productive if my brain receptors are like firing on 10 cylinders versus 4 because I'm like, I'm tired, you know. That's
Right.
huge one. You always give yourself a nap. Babies do it, cats do it, dogs do it. Humans should do it, but we feel guilty. It's this pernicious. It's such a pernicious belief. I don't deserve the rest. I need to work more. That's look at Tom Bilyeu. He's got that. And the dude's suicidal. He looks depressed as he's a billionaire. That's not success. That's not success, in my opinion. So give yourself the rest, the sugar, the sleep, the water, before you're really tired, before you're really thirsty, before you're really hungry. And we can fight against that. And I've done that in the past. You know, I'm an experimenter. I'm a curious guy, and that is the worst thing you can do. Deny your body of its needs.
Yeah, maybe I'll take a week and just try to nap every day. Like whether I really just even for 10 minutes or half hour. Yeah. After a week, I'll know.
Let's listen to your body when it comes to sleep and rest. You know, and go to bed early and get up early. And if you need a nap during the day, have it. Laying in the sun in the nap, not getting sunburned, but just laying in the sun, closing your eyes, get that deep regenerative healing. We can't heal if we're tired. We're not getting a sleep. We can't heal. That's when the organs, they regenerate that nerve energy. Yeah. It's like the car battery versus the gas tank. Well, the gas tank's the carbs, and the battery is the sleep, the nerves. Closing your eyes, put a mask on, go out full body sun or wherever it's safe and warm, and just chill for as long as your body tells you. That's one of the most blissful experiences, in my opinion, is laying in the sun, not getting sunburned, but laying in the sun, full body, nude or whatever, or minimal clothing where it's appropriate, and just drifting off to sleep. You know, having some water, have some fruit, some sugars, and then just drift off to sleep, and you just get that's like bliss for me. That's bliss.
Make it sound so amazing. Yeah, I think I will actually use this as inspiration for the next week. I'll just try to nap every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes.
Have you done that? Full body nude sun, close your eyes, drifting off to sleep in the sun?
All of that except for sleeping sounds like me. So I'll have to try that sometime.
Then I mean, if you can sleep. If you can't, you can't. But that's just so powerful, right? That's so regenerative. Having the body just laying in the sunlight, it's like cats and dogs do it all the time. They just expose their groin to the sun. You've seen them do that? Well, my cats do it all the time, and especially dogs. They would just like lay on their back, sleeping, and just, you know, open their legs up to the sun. And I think it's very healing and feels really, really good.
Yeah, it's good for the brain. I know logically it's good for like rewiring neural pathways and just connecting and all that.
I'm not a neuroscientist, but I just know it makes sense to get the rest your body needs. And then if you ever do use caffeine or anything like that, it works so much better. You need less as well. You know? But what I find myself is you just don't need it, you know, because you're giving the body the rest. Like, I've done so many drugs in my life, different types, steroids, pharma drugs, smart drugs, street drugs, whatever, because I'm an experimenter guy. And none of them really work that well if you've got not enough sleep in you. You know, people use these drugs in replacement of sleep, and that's the biggest mistake there. You know, these drugs work so much better if you actually get sleep, or better yet, you won't even need them. You won't even want to use them because
that's
you
the
feel
ideal.
anyway.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Especially when you're doing stuff you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah. Living life that you want. That's right. That's what it's about. Another question, actually.
Yeah.
Just real quick. So, because we start off on fasting. After my fast, I noticed when I moved back to New York City, I had this experience where like I'd eat. Do you ever get this? I'd eat like half a watermelon, and my heart was racing. I felt like I was high, not in a good way. I like literally had to lay down, and I was just like, this is not. That was one of the turning points for me where I realized I was already eating a lot of greens and stuff. But I think that for me, maybe just at that time, but I'm trying to be careful about it. Like I just had half a watermelon. I basically felt like I didn't have the energy to do things, but my heart was racing. Like, I don't know. What do you say to that? You know what I mean?
But what time of day was it? Do you remember?
Sure. It was morning time, I remember, because I got up and I was going to eat half a watermelon and then go for a bike ride. And And I just remember like I couldn't, I felt like I couldn't get
Give me
enough
the
of it.
time context. Give me the time context.
Let's say it was like 9 o'clock a.m.
What time did you get out of bed?
8 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Okay,
Maybe
so not
maybe like 8 o'clock. That sounds more like
okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
got up and I just remember for breakfast, like one of the first things that I was going to eat was half a watermelon. And it was one of those times that I was like, is the fruitarian thing working for me? Because I had half this watermelon and I felt like I had a sugar high, but it wasn't a good something I could do anything with though.
Yeah, because watermelon's just so light in calories. I mean, I eat watermelon, I love it, but it's not
Mhm.
food in terms of like it's almost 0 calorie in my opinion.
It's not
People say
satisfying,
no,
yeah.
yeah, people say no, watermelon's high glycemic. You know, it make you obese. It's high glycemic. It's full of fructose and stuff. And I'm like, you guys are clowns, man. Watermelon is vitamins and minerals you know, just you know, it's beautiful food, watermelon, but it's not
Mhm.
fuel. You know, it's a supplement. It's like a vitamin water. So if you have that, you're not going to get a
Mhm.
sugar rush. I wish you get if watermelon's high in sugar. I wish I could eat it more because I eat watermelon like there's nothing in this calorie wise really. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
hungry 10 minutes later. Yeah, my body's gonna go, okay, that was good. That's the vitamins, but where's the carbs, bro? Where's the carbs? So I wouldn't call it a sugar rush. Heart racing. I'd say probably just be psychosomatic. You know, maybe it's just you. I don't know. Maybe it's some
Mm,
potassium that your body needed, so you got a bit of a flush,
maybe because it didn't
potassium
happen
flush.
often. Yeah, it was just one of those things that like I had in the
Also,
morning, and it was just such a strange experience, because like I had watermelon before then, but it was one of those times that I was like, I don't know if just this fruitarian thing is working for me because I had it and then I felt that way and I laid down and I was just like, I don't have the energy to do anything. I don't feel full. Kind of like what you're talking about, where it's like the watermelon, you're not really satisfied because it's like very watery. So I felt
vitamin
full
water.
physically, but I didn't feel like I had the energy to do things. So
Yeah,
it's
you
just because
probably
it
didn't need
didn't have
enough
enough
calories.
calories.
Well, if you're doing fruitarian, generally as a fruitarian, you don't have much energy to really do what you want to do because it's hard to get enough carbs on a fruit diet. You
Hmm.
know? And while fruit's fantastic, it's my favorite food in the world. Fruit is my magic food. It's my indulgence. It's not where I get my carbohydrates from as much as sugar and starches. I wish I could get my carbohydrates from fruit. I wish we lived in a fruit world where magic fruit was available everywhere.
Yeah.
We don't. And so fruit's very healthy. It's good with soluble fiber. It's got all the nutrition in there. But in terms of carbs, it's just so low in carbs that if you just eat fruit, you won't really have much energy, compared to what you will if you have sugar, starch, and fruits during the day.
Hmm.
And so I can relate to that feeling you had, but I would say it wouldn't be a sugar crash or a sugar high or heart palpitations. It would be just, and then maybe probably a bit more of a potassium flush or something like that, but not in a bad way, not a bad thing. But yeah, fruitarian diet I don't recommend, even though I did back in the day, sort of. But I remember thinking, like it's hard being fruitarian energy wise because to get enough carbs and fruit, it's so tough. Unless you're living in a really good spot where it's just high quality fruit and you're smashing in the dates, stuff like that.
Sure.
Then
It's the
yes,
higher calorie
possible.
foods. Yeah.
Yeah, So otherwise, it's pretty tough to get enough carbs.
Yeah. It was a weird experience. I guess it could just be watermelon. I don't know.
Yeah, and watermelon as well can give you melon belly, where you get this intense pain in your gut if you eat it too fast. Some people get that. I used to get that all the time. Don't get it anymore. But yeah, you just get
Mhm.
this melon belly. And I generally found that was from eating late last night, if you're still digesting your salad or whatever, and then you have the melon on top, and it's just like a lot of water volume just pushing through, your intestine or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, it's a bit of a cramp for like 10 minutes, and it goes away.
Mhm.
That was, I would say, just digestion from the night before. Not a bad thing. It's just what it is. And no, I found to get rid of that, eat slower. Because sometimes the melon's so good, you're so hungry, it's like, or you're
Yeah.
drinking the
Yeah.
smoothie, just like chugging it down.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it's like, so much water so quick. You
That
know,
could have been it. Because I remember eating it being like, I can't get enough. Yeah. And it was like after my fast as well. So it could have just been that
oh,
my body was
there
like,
you go.
you need
Yeah.
sugar.
Did you find? Yeah, exactly. Did you find after you fast you're hungrier than normal or not?
Um
Did you get really
actually,
ravenous?
and unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
There
I
you
definitely
go.
was like, yeah. Well, because especially during the fast, you're like, oh God, I have so many photos of all the foods I couldn't wait to make after, like, it was just crazy.
That's hunger. It's like perverted hunger.
Yeah.
And that's not bad, but that's just the body going, that's why hungry people are so obsessed about watching YouTube videos of food, because like, oh, I don't want to eat it, but I'm going to watch it.
Yep.
Friends
Yep. Yep. Yep.
watch all these food shows. I'm like, what are you doing? And I realize she's just massively hungry. I'm
Yep.
like,
Yep.
"Ooh."
Yep.
So yeah, that's good. That's good. You recognize that. That's normal. Be ravenously hungry afterwards, which is great
Yeah.
because you had a good template to fall back on. The average person wouldn't, and the average person could go to obesity level or go full on ex-vegan, hating life.
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah, no, that's good. How about your sex drive? Maybe, I mean, if you want to talk about it or not, but I always find it interesting because it's a hormonal thing.
Sure.
With guys, before, during, and after they fast, sex drive can be okay before the fast. Then during the fast, zero testosterone,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
after the fast, zero testosterone as well. How did you find as a female sex drive or stuff like that, or menstruation
Sure.
even?
Okay, so a couple years previous, when I was anorexic, my period went away for 2 years. When I was fasting, and then after, it was actually fine. I was surprised for not eating for over a month. But in terms of sex drive, before was a pretty healthy sex drive. I don't know if this is a great time to drop that I'm single. So attractive, financially, mentally stable, fit guys interested in health. I live on Maui. My name is Anastasia. Find me on Instagram. But yeah, so yeah. So before it was just very healthy. During, definitely none. And I had fasted
During the
afterwards,
fast.
actually.
Yep.
During my fast, yeah, I just after the fast as well, I did another fast, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and I just remember thinking, like, I just didn't have energy. I just didn't have energy to do anything or even feel desire. I just wanted to rest, and it was just so annoying. And then afterwards, I don't know. I'm pretty perky, so I guess it popped right back up. But could just be me. I don't know. I'm pretty healthy in general, so it came back.
You look at. And so so you lost sex drive during the fast, which is normal.
Yes.
How soon after the fast did you find it came back? Do you remember? A few years ago now.
Yeah, pretty quickly. I mean, I didn't have anybody at the time.
Yes,
But
that's the factor as well.
yeah. So it's a little bit. There was also, I mean, it was just, again, that cultish atmosphere. So like, sexually speaking, it also just was not the safest for a young lady to be there. But I remember it coming back. I mean, I don't remember, just to answer a question honestly,
Yeah.
popped back.
Yeah. Answer your question. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so just it popped back kind of quick. Yeah, I mean, I felt normal. No, you know what, actually, it took me a while to recover, actually. It really did, because I'm speaking like people are going to know my experience from the inside, but I remember walking upstairs in New York City. This has got to be like a month or even two after. And I was still weak walking upstairs. And it had been, yeah, it was just.
Your hemoglobin's just done. It's cooked. Your hemoglobin's probably like 100 or 10.
Well, and you hadn't used your muscles for over a month, right?
Yeah, glycogen's out.
Atrophy. Yeah, so walking upstairs, I remember the subway stairs, I was like, somebody was walking next to me and I was just trying my best to keep up. So like, it actually took a while for my muscles to come back and for my energy to come back, for sure. But sex drive, I mean, I don't remember it being especially slow. I mean, it could just be me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And then what about your cycle, your monthly cycle? You having that beforehand, okay? Before the fast?
Yeah, so before it was fine.
Did you get a period during the fast or not?
Yeah, no, it was fine. Honestly, during, through, and after, yeah, it was fine.
It's
So
just one cycle, so yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
And then afterwards, you kept having your monthly cycle.
Yeah, nothing's gonna stop this body apparently.
Yep,
So
yep.
it was fine. Yeah.
It would be great to measure the hormones and everything before, during, afterwards, especially
Right.
before and after. Yeah.
Right. It would be interesting.
Your thyroid would have taken a beating. Your T3, T4 would have dropped. Your TSH would have gone up. Your hemoglobin would have gone down. Your estrogen, your testosterone would have gone down, and electrolytes would have been pretty low.
Yeah.
Liver enzymes would be okay low. Things like that. Yeah. Just
so
fatigue,
afterwards,
starvation.
Yeah, the fatigue, and then afterwards, yeah, because I definitely had to. I mean, I'm stubborn, and I had that identity, and I do have that identity of like an athletic person. So I was back to it as soon as I could. But I remember that I definitely had fatigue after. It was
Yeah.
hard to start exercising again. It was, to do anything besides walking, and even walking. Like we'd have breakfast right at the center, and then I just remember we were supposed to go walking after, and I remember being like, can I just not, like, can I just please like sit here and just not do anything? And
Yeah.
that's a little scary after a month of not fasting and everybody else is walking, and it makes you question yourself. You're like, is there something wrong with me? Why is everybody? It's because you haven't eaten for over a month.
It's because you're anemic.
So yeah, I
That's what,
mean,
that's what all the Dr. Greger people out there. They're like, Harley, would your diet work if I don't do exercise? I'm following Dr. Greger's plan. I'm just like, you're anemic, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't exercise not because you're lazy, but you can't, people, because you're anemic from the starvation program. It's like I get all the time, Harley, you exercise. It's like, well, I've got energy because I eat enough carbohydrates. You don't,
sure.
so you have anemia. And that's why you'd be a 3-2-1-X vegan, because you're anemic because you follow Dr. Greger's program. You know, so Tim Sheafwas, Bonnie Rebecca, they're all doing the Greger plan before they off the wagon.
I do feel bad for Tim. I wish he would be able to find a way to do veganism right, because he's so athletic, and we met him.
I wrote to him. I told him so many times, man, you got to quit this fruitarian paradigm nonsense. You're an athlete, man. You're a space cadet. Otherwise, you're gonna become a space cadet. You eat like a space cadet, you become a space cadet. You eat like an athlete. Carbon up, getting it done, sleep, water, sugar, fruit, starches, sugars, you're going to be fine. People say, sugar makes you fat. It's like, I look like I'm coming out of a prison camp, And I'm going to get some burgers tonight. I have to eat burgers, vegan burgers, just to keep a bit of weight on. So this whole sugar makes you fat thing, I'm just like, laughable.
That's funny. Well, also burgers are delicious, but yeah.
Yeah, there's these vegan burgers in Australia at Burger King. They're pretty good. So, no, it's good stuff. But anyway, I think we should do, I know it's getting late there, we should do some more of these.
Sounds good to me. I'm always down.
Yeah. What time is it now, Maui?
It's time for me to go to sleep.
Yeah, okay, it's getting late. All right. Yeah. Thanks again, Anastasia. And we will talk to you very, very soon.
Yeah, sounds great. Always good talking.
All right, you got any questions? Hit up Anastasia. What's your Instagram again?
So my Instagram is @AnastasiaRaw, and that's also my YouTube channel. So ANASTASIARW.
We'll do more of these. Awesome. Thanks, Anastasia. Talk soon.
Yeah, ciao for now.
Bye.